What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and the iPhone 6s and the iPhone SE are now the oldest supported devices by Apple, and in this video we're going to discuss the iPhone SE and how this guy performs on iOS 13. Now if you guys also want a video on the 6s, let me know in a comment below and I'll do that. But like I said, the iPhone SE did get iOS 13, and after using it on both beta 1 and beta 2, so I've been using it for about 2 weeks now, and I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. So let's just start off with some of the features in iOS 13. I'm sure you guys have seen most of the features, but I just wanted to show you how they work on the iPhone SE and my personal experience with these features on iOS 13 on the iPhone SE specifically. So the first one, obviously one of the biggest features in iOS 13 is the new volume HUD over here on the left hand side, and this is actually going to be a big difference. This is going to make a massive difference on the iPhone SE because of course we have that small screen, and you know, when we had the volume HUD in iOS 12 and previous versions of iOS, that volume HUD would take up literally the entire screen. So this new volume HUD over here on the left hand side definitely makes a big difference. Definitely a big fan of it, even more so than on other devices here on the iPhone SE. Now if we head over to settings and go to display and brightness, you'll see that we do now have dark mode on the iPhone SE as well. You can see this is what dark mode looks like on the iPhone SE. It actually just looks like every other dark mode on every other device, even the OLED panel. So we have the same pretty much crisp black look on the iPhone SE. Now obviously it's not going to be exactly as good as it is on OLED panels. It's not going to be as deep of a black, as true of a black, but it definitely looks like it. I mean, it's not like it looks gray or anything just because we have an LCD panel here on the iPhone SE. It actually still looks very good. I mean, you're not going to get the battery saving features like you would on an OLED panel, but you still do get dark mode. And again, it looks really nice on this small screen here. It's not like this, display ever got really bright or anything. So it was never an issue for me, waking up or going to sleep. It was never too bright just because the screen doesn't get super bright as it is. But just the fact that we have dark mode on the iPhone SE, such an old device, says a lot, and I think that's great. I think the iPhone SE users should be super happy that we have this feature now instead of just leaving this just to OLED devices like the iPhone 10 and above, because Apple could have easily just went ahead and done that. And of course you do have the option to set this automatically as well, and I've actually grown to really like the automatic feature here with dark mode. So you can turn that on and then go to options, and you can have it either set to sunset to sunrise, and it will basically take the data from your weather application and your location, or you could just set a custom schedule and have it set up to turn light and turn dark at specific times. So now let's talk about that keyboard and take a look at this bug here. There's some really weird bugs that are specific to the iPhone SE, especially when it comes to the keyboard. I've noticed the swipe keyboard on the iPhone SE is very buggy, and I actually have a video that I'll show you guys that just recently happened. So take a look at this video from yesterday right here. So you can see here I'm trying to type, but I can't even see what I'm typing, and then when I scroll down, you can see we have the text right here, and I go to try to type, but the keyboard doesn't even pop up. So some really strange bugs going on here in iOS 13. Obviously it's a beta. This was on beta 2, but I don't know. It seems like it's only specific to the iPhone SE that has issues when it comes to the keyboard, specifically when you start doing swipe gestures on the keyboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out of the application and reopen it up to see if I can go ahead and get it working again. So yeah, it looks like it just takes a force quit on the application. But anyways, the swipe keyboard is really nice to have on the iPhone SE, and I actually prefer the swipe keyboard on the SE over the actual typing because the keys are so small. Nowadays I'm using phones like the iPhone XR, the iPhone XS Max, so I'm used to those big keys, but with the iPhone SE we have such small keys here that when it comes to using these swipe gestures on the keyboard, it actually makes it easier, and I found that I don't mess up as much when I'm typing. So I'm going to type out "this is what I mean" using swipe gestures. See how easy that was? I just feel like that's so much easier and quicker than typing on such a small keyboard. Now obviously if you still use an iPhone SE on a daily basis, you're used to that small keyboard, but even still, swiping on the keyboard is a massive time saver if you're actually good at it. And it doesn't really take a lot of practice. I used to hate swipe keyboards, but after using it for like a day, I got really good at using it. So I would definitely prefer the swipe keyboard if you are on the iPhone SE when it comes to texting or really just anything where you insert text throughout iOS. Now another feature that could have been left out on the iPhone SE, but Apple decided to include it, is the long press, aka 3D touch, aka haptic touch. So you can see here on the home screen, we now have the 3D touch menus when we just tap and press, tap and hold on home screen icons that support it. Not every application supports it, but you can see there, tap and hold, and you will see it. Now, one thing that I don't like about the iPhone SE is that we don't have the haptic feedback. Obviously, this is a dated phone, so we don't have the haptic feedback, so you don't get that little vibration, that little subtle vibration, letting you know that you are invoking the menu. But nonetheless, it is still nice to have the long press haptic touch. I guess you can't call it haptic touch. It's called long press here on the iPhone SE. It's still nice to have these menus. Like for instance, if you are web browsing, you can go to like an article right here, long press on it, and it will open it up in a window like this, and you can see you have all these options here for it as well, which is nice. And again, you couldn't do things like this on the iPhone SE in the past just because it didn't have, 3D touch. So that is a very useful feature for just navigating around iOS and just speeding up the process of certain things. And yet another feature that came to the iPhone SE that was not expected is Memoji. So you can now create your own Memoji on the iPhone SE in iOS 13, which again, you could not do this before on devices, I believe, older than the iPhone 8. So if we go ahead and press the plus right here, you can see Memoji get started, and you can actually create your own Memoji, which is really cool. I think it's kind of a gimmicky feature, but there are a lot of people that use it, especially now with all of these stickers that have been added. You can, have all these Memoji stickers right here and Animoji stickers that you can add to conversations and messages and things like that. So it's pretty cool to some people, but just the fact that you can create your own Memoji, just the fact that that's an option on the iPhone SE is really nice. And then if we go over to the music application, which by the way, if you're not following me on Apple Music, go ahead and follow me over there. It's just @Legend. I do have a link in the description below. But if we go into a song and we click on this little button down here, you can see we do have the lyrics on the screen here, and it's like karaoke style. So as the song plays, those lyrics light up, which is really cool. I'll show you here a demo of this. I'm just really glad that this came to the iPhone SE. It's not like a game-changing feature or anything like that, but it's just the fact that this kind of feature, all these features are coming to the iPhone SE, and they're the same features that are available on like the $1,000 2018 iPhone. So it's just really cool to see all of these features, like the lyrics and like pretty much everything I've shown in this video so far. It's good to see it coming to the iPhone SE here in iOS 13. Now, I will say that a lot of applications have bugs on the iPhone SE, and I'm pretty sure that's just because of the outdated, internals of the iPhone SE. It can't handle the load. Some of the applications like eBay crash a lot, Twitch, the volume indicator, there's 2 different volume indicators that show up, just a lot of small things like that. Some applications won't launch, and that's kind of to be expected with a beta software. Now, of course, if you're watching this once iOS 13 is out to the public, you're not going to have these issues. Everything's going to run pretty well on the final version because all developers are going to have their applications updated. But speaking more about performance, I was actually surprised at how great the performance on the iPhone SE on iOS 13 is. I mean, it's faster than all of iOS 12 for me. I mean, any version of iOS 12 was slower than iOS 13. Beta 2 specifically. Beta 1, I did have a lot of performance issues. When I would swipe down to bring up the notification center and my control center as well, sometimes it would really stutter a lot, but that was fixed with Beta 2. And just overall, just opening applications, navigating around the OS and everything is faster than iOS 12 for me, which is super surprising, given that it's such an old device and this is probably the last year it's going to be supported. And it's even more surprising because iOS 12 was just focused on optimizing older devices, but the fact that iOS 13 adds all of these features to the iPhone SE and it doesn't sacrifice performance is just really impressive and says a lot about Apple and their optimization and just their willingness to keep older devices around, not force you to update to a newer device to get some of these features. But yeah, I obviously use multiple iPhones a day, but what I use the iPhone SE for mostly is I'll check social media on it. I do like the smaller screen sometimes, and I do happen to, sometimes type faster with that swipe keyboard when I'm replying to things on Twitter. I'll sometimes have a Twitch stream up and running while I'm doing something else on another phone. I'll look at Instagram and things like that. I'll shop a little bit on Amazon. Pretty much all these applications are the ones I use. I haven't used Netflix yet on the iPhone SE just because obviously the screen size isn't really ideal for watching something on Netflix, but it performs pretty well when I'm doing things on social media and Amazon and things like that. Now, when it comes to the battery life on iOS 13, this was also very surprising to me because it wasn't bad. I expected a nightmare for battery life on the iPhone SE on iOS 13, but it isn't. I mean, battery life isn't, I wouldn't call it good, but it also isn't terrible. It's not bad even. Now, if I go into my settings and go to battery, I do have a bug here where for some reason, my battery stats get reset pretty much like every 2 days. So I'm not sure why this is. This happened in beta 1. And then when I updated to beta 2, I had no data in here at all. Like even the last 10 days was completely cleared. So I'm not sure what that bug is about. But I do, get about 4 or 5 hours of usage, I would say, on the iPhone SE before I have to hook it up, which again isn't bad, especially for this phone. It's not like I'm working it very hard or anything like that, but still, the battery life is not bad. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. Now, if you do have an iPhone SE, I would recommend you go into battery health right here and then turn on optimized battery charging. This will definitely help if you want to keep your battery health. You see mine's at 91%. If you want to keep that pretty much as high as possible and keep your battery life as good as possible, that's an option that you should definitely consider turning on. I don't really care about using that on newer phones, but on older phones like the 6S and the SE, it is a good idea to turn on pretty much anything these days that will help you save some battery life. And of course, like I said, having dark mode isn't really going to save much battery life. And by the way, you can also get to dark mode by long pressing on the brightness toggle right there and then tapping down here where it says appearance. You could turn it just by tapping like so, just like you can on all of the newer devices as well. Now, of course, there are a lot of features that aren't included on the iPhone SE, but majority of the big iOS 13 features are also included in the iPhone SE, which is why this update just really shocked me. I mean, I did not expect all of this to be coming to the iPhone SE at all, and especially the 6S as well, both the oldest devices. But yeah, overall, I would say the iOS 13 on the iPhone SE is just not at all what I would have expected, and I mean that in the best possible way. So that leads me to the next question, which I've actually gotten quite a bit, and I'm surprised at how many people actually still use the iPhone SE as their daily driver. But a lot of people have asked me, should I go ahead and install iOS 13 on my iPhone SE if I use it as a daily driver? And to that, I would say yes, update to iOS 13, but wait for at least the public beta, which should be here very, very soon. I will be covering that here on the channel. I'll let you know exactly when it is released. But I think that waiting for the public beta will be great for possible battery improvements, and I think a lot of performance improvements as well, because I think once the public beta comes out, a lot more app developers are going to start updating their applications for iOS 13 support. But if you don't mind having slightly worse battery life than iOS 12, and you don't mind applications like Twitch and eBay and a lot of the popular applications having issues with iOS 13, then I'd say go for it. I mean, it's not really going to harm you. Beta 1 was definitely a lot worse than Beta 2, so I will say that. But overall, I will have to say that I am impressed with the iPhone SE here on iOS 13, especially since it is still in its beta stage. But anyways, guys, hope you guys did enjoy that video. Let me know where my iPhone SE gang is down in those comments below. Let me know how long you've been using it as a daily driver, if you plan on updating, your experience with iOS 13. Let me know anything down in the comment section below. I will definitely reply to you guys down there. And of course, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and of course, subscribe for a lot more content on iOS 13 coming very, very soon. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you soon.